What's up, fellow chefs? Welcome to my third video ever. Today we're going to be hand making gnocchi, and I'm also going to show you two fantastic sauces to go with it.
So I screwed up and the cheese I ordered didn't get here in time, so I'm only showing you one sauce. Please forgive my stupidity.
And the other is a nice bolognese to go with this gnocchi. So let's get into it.
Step 1 in the gnocchi making process is to cut some holes in some potatoes. Why? Because we're baking them. Baking them at 450 degrees for about an hour to get them nice, soft, and cooked. With that said, put your sliced potatoes into the oven. After your potatoes are perfectly baked, it's time to peel them. This is hard to do after the potatoes have cooled, so you have to peel them when they're hot. The best way to stop yourself from getting burnt is to use a clean kitchen towel to hold the potatoes. After you've peeled your potatoes, this is where I would highly recommend putting them through a potato ricer and moving on to the next step. However, I do not have a potato ricer, so I took it upon myself to very finely chop up these potatoes. I didn't want any lumps, so I really had to work it. You can do it this way. It's highly recommended to use a potato ricer though. With your potatoes cut and or riced, go ahead and put them out onto a lightly floured work surface and add about 2 cups of flour and a single egg. So this dough can be tricky sometimes because you need to work it. It will be a tacky kind of dough, but you don't want to overwork it. If you overwork it, you're going to get dense, heavy gnocchi, which isn't what we're going for. You just want to keep mixing this dough until it comes together fully and stays together. And you have to remember, this is a dough. It's not going to be the exact same amount of flour every time you do it, so just keep adding if you feel like it needs it, but don't add another egg. 1 egg is all you'll need for 3 potatoes. Once your dough has completely come together into a little ball, just set it aside for about 5 to 10 minutes to rest. Once your dough is rested, go ahead and lop off a piece and start rolling it out over a floured work surface. Now this is where you're going to decide how big you want your gnocchi. You can go really big, you can go small, it's all up to you. Now this dough can give you about 40 to 50 gnocchi on average, so don't be afraid to experiment or get creative with how your gnocchi looks. This is your gnocchi dough. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do with it, damn it. After you have cut your gnocchi into pieces, lightly rub them on a cheese grater. If done correctly, your gnocchi should have a big dimple on one side and a bunch of smaller dimples on the other. Main reason we're doing this is to give our sauce a spot to actually sit in our gnocchi. After grating our gnocchi, go ahead and place them into a boiling pot of water for about 2 to 3 minutes, if that. All you're looking for is for them to be floating at the top of the pot. That's when you can take them out. Right after you take them out, go ahead and toss them in a little bit of olive oil just to make sure they don't stick together, and then go ahead and lay out on a sheet tray. Or just somewhere where you can spread them out and make sure they're not touching. At this stage, these things will stick together and they're damn near impossible to get apart without tearing them to pieces, and we really don't want to tear apart the gnocchi we just worked so hard to make. With the gnocchi made and put aside, it's time to start our bolognese sauce. To start, we're going to need to make a mirepoix. A mirepoix is simply a combination of celery, onions, and carrots. That's it. It's used to add a lot of flavor to different soups, stocks, sauces, whatever you want. For the celery, all you need to do is cut the tops and bottoms off and then cut into small bite-sized pieces. For the carrots, go ahead and chop off the tops and bottoms and then go ahead and peel them. A really easy way to make carrots into bite-sized pieces is just cut them in half once, lengthwise, and then chop them. For an onion, we're going to be using about half an onion, and all you're going to want to do is dice it. Now the best way to dice an onion is to start by cutting it in half, peeling off the skin, and then proceeding to cut it in half again, and then make little insertions all down the onion. After that, simply rotate it 90 degrees and cut, and now you have a diced onion. With all of our vegetables prepped, it's time to start cooking. Take a big stock pot and put it over medium-high heat and add some olive oil. From here, throw in your onion, and we're going to let those steam and saute for just a little bit.
So it's very important you don't overcook these onions. Any hint of burnt is going to just permeate throughout this entire sauce. So what we're trying to do is just sweat out the onions, get a tiny bit of color on them. That's about it. We just want them to get nice, soft, and tender.
Once the onions are sauteed and nice, we're going to pick that back up and grate our garlic in, not just throw it into our pot. Mix that up and let it cook for about another 30 seconds before adding a tablespoon or 2 of tomato sauce. Mix up the onion, garlic, and tomato combo and let saute for about another 30 seconds to a minute just to allow everything to combine. After that, go ahead and throw in about a pound of ground beef, and our goal is to get this beef brown and form some fond on the bottom of our pot. What is fond, you may ask? Well, it's the layer of brown that forms on the bottom of a pan after you cook your meat. It is an amazing flavor booster for any sauce or stock you make and is a key aspect in turning your homemade bolognese into a restaurant quality dish. Speaking of vegetables, go ahead and throw in your carrots and celery and mix to combine and let that come together for about 2 or 3 minutes before adding some chicken stock.
Chicken stock is important not just for cooking an actual flavor, but it's also important so you can deglaze your pan and get all that nice fond I previously talked about off the bottom of the pan.
After scraping up all that delicious fond from the bottom of your pan using your chicken stock, go ahead and add in a can of tomatoes. Now you can use whole San Marzano tomatoes or already chopped up San Marzano tomatoes. I went with the latter. It's going to work all the same. You will probably get a little more richness from the whole San Marzano tomatoes, but it isn't the biggest deal when it comes to making bolognese. After adding your tomatoes, let your sauce reduce for about 30 to 45 minutes and then finish with salt to taste. With our gnocchi and sauce ready, it's time to eat. Now, while we cooked our gnocchi earlier, we only par-cooked them, and that was so they would hold their shape. To finish cooking them, just boil some water and add some salt and cook the gnocchi for about 2 to 3 minutes. While your gnocchi's cooking, go ahead and take some of our lovely bolognese and place in a sauce with a drizzle of olive oil. Now we're just trying to heat this sauce up and cook our gnocchi. Once the gnocchi's cooked, go ahead and throw it into the sauce, toss to combine with a little bit of pasta water, and then go ahead and place on your favorite decorative bowl. Look, I know I say this every time, but look at my face when I take a bite out of this dish. Do I look enthralled by the combination of potato and meat? Yes. Do I think this dish is amazing? Yes. Do I look like I just burnt my mouth from trying to wolf down food hotter than the inside of a Hot Pocket that was microwaved too long? Yes.
Just wanted to say, clear up some things. I've never made gnocchi in my life. Never made gnocchi from scratch. I've seen it done in front of me hundreds of times from the restaurant I worked at, but I've never personally made it. And what I wanted to show you is that my gnocchi came out not looking the best at all. They look kind of terrible, to be honest. But what I wanted to show you is you shouldn't be scared of trying new things. You shouldn't be scared to experiment in the kitchen. I love gnocchi, and I've always really wanted to be good at making it, but I've never made it. So how can I get better if I've never made it? You have to start somewhere. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to start learning to cook, if you want to start learning, well, to do anything in life, you have to start somewhere. Don't be afraid to take a chance. You could sit there and tell yourself, oh, this won't be good, this won't be good. But guess what? Even I messed up, and it still tastes amazing. It's the sauce we made is simple yet elegant. While the gnocchi, like I said, could be better, it's still delicious food. I still made this. This is gnocchi from scratch. It might not be the best, but it's mine. It is mine, and it is my stepping stool to start mastering how to make gnocchi. And I really hope you guys aren't scared to go out and adventure like that.
With all that said, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Hope to see you again next week.